Another gunman police shootout in Westmoreland, while Jamaica is to impose a 50-year sentence for murder under the new Murder Act. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. For those found guilty of murder and other severe crime, the government has proposed new legislation that will change the sentence criteria and impose longer jail terms. Tuesday afternoon in the House of Representatives, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck introduced the Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act 2023. And according to the proposed legislation, murderers must complete at least 50-year sentence before being eligible for parole. Those given a life sentence are eligible to seek for parole after serving a minimum of 30 years. And according to Minister Chuck, who introduced the measures, the existing sentence guidelines are insufficient for the kind of violence which is ravaging Jamaica and harming the island nation's economy. Local government elections have been postponed for a third time, and this was tabled on Tuesday afternoon when the House of Representatives approved the Representation of the People's Act 2023. The election will not be held until 2024. Local Government Minister Desmond Mackenzie, in piloting the bill, explained that the postponement was being sought for three reasons, the first of which was to allow further time to continue public consultation on draft legislation to enable Portmore to become Jamaica's 15th parish. Minister Mackenzie cited the high level of uncertainty in the global economic environment and the prohibitive costs of holding the elections as the second and third. But opposing leader Mark Golding chided the government, calling the situation a disgrace. He said the opposition would not support the move. However, the government used its majority to push the legislation through the House of Representatives despite opposition. The opposition members walked out of the chamber after the Speaker announced that the bill was passed with a 29-8 majority. Meanwhile, investigators have now launched a search for a bank employee who allegedly made off with more than $35 million from a St. Anne-based financial institution. And it's understood that the employee loaded the cash into a bag and walked out of the institution after telling her supervisors that she was heading for lunch. When she failed to return from lunch, a probe by the bank revealed that millions of dollars from its vault had gone missing. It was later discovered that the bank employee had fled the island after boarding a flight for Canada. A cab driver has been charged by the Kingston Western Police on suspicion of killing one passenger while kidnapping a group of others. Tyrone Millwood, also known as Russian of Caribbean Palm Estates, is accused of killing, robbing with aggravation, and kidnapping. The incident happened on Port Royal Street on February 11 about 10 p.m. And according to investigators, Millwood and two other men picked up three passengers in a downtown Kingston area in a vehicle posing as a taxi. The men allegedly pulled out knives at that point and started robbing the passengers. And during a violent struggle, the passengers received multiple stab wounds. And it's reported that Millwood and his alleged cronies drove to a location where they abandoned the vehicle with the wounded passengers. One of the passengers died after being stabbed in the neck. Meanwhile, gunmen opened fire at a car wash in Union Gardens in St. Andrew on Tuesday night, leaving a civilian dead and a police sergeant wounded. Dwight McFarlane, also known as Greybeard 36 of Daffodil Avenue in Union Gardens, has been named as the deceased. The officer was shot in the abdomen and is a member of the Hunts Bay Police Force. And his status is listed as critical but stable, and he's the third cop to be shot in a week. According to the Corporate Communications Unit of the Jamaica Police Force, at around 7:20 p.m., McFarlane and the policeman were at a car wash when several men got out of a car and started shooting, hitting two of them. And Mr. McFarlane sustained wounds and died at hospital. A 58-year-old man and his son were found murdered in St. Catherine on Monday. The bodies of Michael Slood Sr. and his son Michael Slood Jr. were found in a cane field in Laudersville on Monday evening, and the bodies had bullet wounds. Mr. Slood, a truck driver, and his son went missing on Sunday. Investigators are now probing claims that the men were killed as part of an ongoing land dispute. A man is nursing gunshot wounds in hospital after being caught in a shootout between police and armed robbers at a Chinese-owned supermarket in Darlington, Westmoreland on Tuesday afternoon. The incident took place at the Flying Dragon Shopping Center and Meat Plus supermarket shortly after 2 p.m. Reports from the police are that three men, one identified only as Buddy, entered the supermarket where they brandished firearms and ordered the occupants not to move. The gunmen then proceeded to rob a total of $2.2 million from the Chinese owner of the establishment. The Darlington police were alerted and the three officers responded to the report on foot. Upon their arrival at the scene, the cops were fired at by the robbers who swiftly returned fire. It is understood that a licensed firearm holder also traded bullets with the gunmen before they fled the scene in a motor car. And after the shooting subsided, a civilian who was said to have been caught in the crossfire turned up to the police station suffering from gunshot injury to his right arm. He was assisted to the Savlamar Public General Hospital where he was treated and admitted in a stable condition. No police officer was injured during this incident. The police suspect, however, that one of the gunmen was shot after blood was seen on a nearby vehicle. Two men were shot dead and a policeman narrowly escaped injury during an attack by gunmen at Gut Bottom in Granville in St. James yesterday afternoon. The deceased has been identified as Rex Jarrett, 24, and 29-year-old Orain Reed, also called Haga, a construction worker. Both men are from Tucker in St. James, and it's reported that about 2:30 p.m. Reed and Jarrett boarded a silver Toyota Axia motor car. Police said that when they were about to drive away, their vehicle was blocked by a white Toyota Voxy. Two armed men with firearms alighted from the Voxy and opened fire at Reed and Jarrett. The policeman who was off duty witnessed what was happening, called out to the gunman who shot at him as he took evasive action. The policeman returned fire. The gunman sped away in the direction of Pit 4. Both men were pronounced dead at the Conrad Regional Hospital. On to sports, Jamaica will finally get to see new Reggae Boys head coach Jaime Hallgrimsson in action on local soil as their two international friendlies are set to be played in Jamaica next month. Hallgrimsson has already overseen two matches with the Reggae Boys, but it's at home where fans are eagerly waiting to see him carry out his duties. And that wait will end on March 11 and 14 when the Reggae Boys host Trinidad and Tobago in two matches. The boys will also play Mexico in Mexico City on March 26 in a Nations League game before playing Guatemala on April 15. The Reggae Girls not doing too well. They were beaten 3-0 by host Australia in their third and final game of the Cup Nations 2023 at McDonald Jones Stadium on Wednesday. And it was the third loss for the World Cup bound girls after they were beaten 3-0 by Spain in their opening game and were edged 3-2 by the Czech Republic last weekend. And if you ever missed the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe, and keep this channel going. My name is Mikey Bones. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I gone.